There's a wealth killer sitting in your bank account right now, and most people will never even notice it until it's too late. It doesn't show up as a scary red number. It doesn't send you a warning text. It just quietly eats away at everything you're working so hard to build, year after year, dollar after dollar. And the worst part, you've been taught to ignore it. You've been taught that it's normal. It's called inflation. And I'm not talking about the version you hear about on the news when gas prices spike or eggs suddenly cost twice as much. I'm talking about the slow, silent version that's been draining your savings account for years without you even realizing it, and by the end of this video, you're going to look at your bank balance completely differently. Let me show you exactly what I mean with real numbers, not vague warnings. Say you've got $10,000 sitting in a regular savings account earning 0.5% interest. That's roughly the national average right now at a lot of the big traditional banks. Feels safe, right? It's sitting there, it's not going anywhere, nothing bad is happening to it. But inflation has been running around 3 to 4% a year on average. So while your money is technically growing by about $50 a year in interest, its actual purchasing power is shrinking by $300 or $400 a year. That's not a hypothetical scenario I'm making up to scare you. That's happening right now, in real time, to millions of people who genuinely think they're being responsible and smart with their money. Here's the part that really gets me. The part that most financial advice completely ignores. A lot of people feel proud of themselves for saving. They see that number in their account creep up every month, $50 here, $100 there, and they think, I'm doing great, I'm being smart, I'm not one of those people living paycheck to paycheck. But if that money is just sitting in cash or a low-yield savings account, you are losing wealth every single day, even while that number on the screen goes up. You're just losing it slowly enough that you can't see it happening. It's like standing in a pool where the water is rising 1 millimeter at a time. You don't panic, you don't notice anything wrong, until one day you look down and realize you're in over your head and you have no idea how it happened so gradually. Let's talk numbers, because I want this to actually stick with you long after this video ends. If you had $100,000 in the year 2000 and you just left it in cash, under a mattress or in a checking account earning basically nothing, that $100,000 today would only buy you what about $45,000 to $50,000 would have bought you back then. You didn't lose your money. Nobody stole it. It's still sitting right there in the account, same number, maybe even a little bigger. But it lost more than half its power to buy things, pay for things, build the life you were planning to build with it. That is the silent killer. It doesn't take your money away. It takes away what your money can actually do for you. And here's why this trap works so well on smart, careful people. It doesn't feel like a loss. If someone stole $5,000 out of your account, you'd feel it immediately. You'd be furious, you'd call the bank, you'd file a report, you'd lose sleep over it. But inflation doesn't work like that. It never shows up as a withdrawal. Your statement still says the same number or even a slightly bigger number thanks to a tiny bit of interest. So your brain never registers the loss. There's no moment of pain, no alarm bell going off, no notification on your phone, just a slow, quiet leak that adds up to a massive difference over 10, 20, 30 years. And by the time most people notice, decades of purchasing power are already gone. So who actually benefits from you not knowing this? It's worth asking, because somebody does. Banks love it when you keep your money in low interest accounts, because they turn around and lend that same money out at much higher interest rates, sometimes 5 or 6 times what they're paying you. You are essentially handing them free fuel while your own money sits completely still. The system isn't designed to alert you to this. Nobody is incentivized to sit you down and say, hey, your safe little savings account is actually costing you money every single year. That message doesn't come from your bank. It definitely doesn't come from your employer. And honestly, it doesn't even come from most schools. Financial education just skips right over this entire topic, and that gap in knowledge is exactly what allows this silent killer to keep operating in the background of millions of people's lives. Now, I'm not telling you to panic and go dump your money into something risky tomorrow morning. That is not the point of this video, and please don't do that. The point is understanding the problem clearly first, because once you actually see it, the solution becomes almost obvious. If inflation is quietly cutting your purchasing power by 3 to 4% a year, then leaving large amounts of cash sitting idle for long periods is one of the most damaging financial habits you can have without ever realizing it. The goal here isn't to avoid cash completely, so don't misunderstand me. You absolutely need an emergency fund. You need liquidity for near-term expenses, upcoming bills, things you know are coming in the next year or two. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking specifically about money that sits for years, sometimes decades, doing absolutely nothing productive while it quietly loses value in the background. So, how do people actually beat this? The way you beat it is by making your money grow faster than inflation eats it. Historically, the stock market has returned somewhere around 7 to 10% a year on average over long periods of time, even after you account for the crashes and the bad years mixed in. Real estate, index funds, various long-term forms of investing. These exist specifically to outpace that silent leak we've been talking about this whole video. When your money is invested instead of sitting completely still, you're not just protecting it from inflation, you're actually growing your real purchasing power over time instead of quietly watching it shrink year after year without doing anything about it. I think the reason this concept doesn't get talked about nearly enough is because it's just not dramatic. There's no single moment where it happens, no headline, no crash you can point to. Nobody posts a video of the exact second inflation ate into their savings account. It's slow, it's boring, and it's incredibly easy to ignore, which is exactly what makes it so dangerous in the long run. The things that quietly compound over decades, whether that's interest, investment returns, or inflation working against you, are usually the things that shape our entire financial future the most, far more than any single big decision or lucky break ever will. Let's also talk about who this actually hits hardest, because it's not equal across the board. People who keep the majority of their net worth in cash, whether out of fear of the market, past bad experiences, or just not knowing better, get hit the hardest by this over time. Older generations who grew up trusting savings accounts as the safe, responsible choice are often sitting on decades of eroded purchasing power without realizing the damage that's already been done. And younger people just starting out, who might be proud of finally having some savings for the first time, can fall into the exact same trap if nobody ever explains this to them clearly. So here's what I actually want you to take away from this video. Go check where your savings are sitting right now, today, not next week. Not your investments, not your retirement account if you have one, just your plain cash sitting in checking or savings accounts. Ask yourself honestly, is this money actually growing in real terms, or is it just sitting there feeling safe while it quietly loses value every single year that passes? That one simple question can genuinely change how you think about money for the rest of your life. Because the biggest threat to your wealth isn't always some dramatic market crash or one terrible investment decision everyone talks about. Sometimes it's just letting your money sit still for far too long, thinking that safe and stagnant are the same thing. They are not the same thing. And now that you actually understand the difference, you are already ahead of most people who will watch a video exactly like this one and forget about it within 5 minutes. If this made you rethink where your money has been sitting this whole time, then this video already did its job. Take a real honest look at your accounts this week, not next month, this week, and start asking better questions about what your money is actually doing for you every single day it sits there.